First we nailed the table bonus on Moyes, then we did it on Emery as well. Let's see if we can do it 3 times in a row. The first 2 options are Van Nistelrooy and McKenna, who both manage weak teams in Leicester and Ipswich, but with the table bonus, those fixtures aren't too bad. They've both got the home advantage and they face Brentford and Spurs. As for Glasner, he's got the hardest fixture on the shortlist against Fulham, and that's away from home as well, but he does manage a stronger team in Palace. If you want to go for the safe option, Arteta's your best bet. He's got the highest floor, but he has got one of the lowest ceilings with no table bonus potential. So if you do go for him, I hope you enjoy your plain vanilla ice cream. In this video, we're going to try the wacky ice cream and hope it's got a good taste. Starting with the attacking stats per 90 minutes, it's no surprise that Glasner's Palace are much better going forward than Van Nistelrooy's Leicester and McKenna's Ipswich. Whilst they've scored more goals per 90 minutes, and more intrigued by the underlying stat, they've registered half an expected goal more per 90 minutes than the other 2 teams. That means their stats are a lot more promising when you compare Leicester and Ipswich. Despite Leicester scoring slightly more goals, their attacks are practically just as bad as each other's. On the flip side, Glasner's actually got the most difficult fixture from an attacking perspective. Fulham's got the 3rd best expected goals conceded figure in the whole league. Spurs and Brentford on the other hand have got poor defences. There's not much between those 2. Brentford's conceded a lot more than Spurs, but then Spurs have got the slightly worse expected goals conceded figure. So I'd say those defences are a very similar quality. I know Spurs have got some better players in defence than they had a few months ago, but they've still got a few good defenders out, so they're not the strongest at the back still. When we consider the assistant manager's teams from a defensive perspective, it does take another turn. Leicester and Ipswich have got very weak defences. In fact, there's only Southampton who's performed worse this season. As for Palace, their defence looks really strong on this shortlist, but actually in the Premier League it's just average, and the other 2 teams are just really poor at defending. Something that makes it even less likely for Palace to concede is that Glasner's opponents Fulham have actually got the worst attacking numbers on the shortlist. Spurs and Brentford have got better attacking numbers, especially Spurs. So with Glasner's Palace having the best defensive numbers on the shortlist, in combination with their opponents having the worst attacking numbers on the shortlist, they've got the highest clean sheet odds, and if we consider the other side of the pitch, they've got the lowest chance of scoring. That's partially because they're away from home, but mainly because they're facing the strongest defence, whilst Van Nistelrooy and McKenna both have the home advantage against weak defences. If we were to ignore table bonus and apply 6 points for a win and 3 points for a draw so far this season, Glasner would come out on top by far, and there wouldn't be much between the other 2 managers, but we do need to consider that there will be table bonus on offer this game week, which widens the gap even further because it's more than double points for the win and the draw. But we do need to consider that Glasner's probably got the most difficult fixture, and we can safely say that Palace have got a better points potential in your average fixture, but to be fair, they have got the most difficult fixture on the shortlist. An insight that we can get from this is that Van Nistelrooy and McKenna won't put up as strong as a fight, but they have got easier fixtures, and that is shown in the win and draw probabilities. It's actually Van Nistelrooy who's got the highest chance of winning, but Glasner's got the highest chance of drawing. When you consider all the odds, it is difficult to digest because there's not much between them. For example, Glasner's only 1% behind Van Nistelrooy on the win, but 3% ahead on the draw. But then at the same time, you get more points for a win than you do for a draw, which makes it difficult to calculate in your head. So I have done some calculations myself. If we consider the win is worth 16 points and the draw is worth 8 points, the expected value for Van Nistelrooy is 6.3, bang on 6 for McKenna, and 6.4 for Glasner. Not much between all of them, but Glasner's 0.1 ahead of Van Nistelrooy. If we consider the expected value across all FPL point scoring, including goals and clean sheets, we've got that courtesy of 2 FPL data models. One is Fantasy Football Hub, who've got Glasner top, but then at FPL Review, they've got him bottom, and they've got Van Nistelrooy top. And if we average them out, Van Nistelrooy has the best average with 8.15, Glasner only trails by 0.1 on 8.05, and McKenna's average is skewed a lot by Fantasy Football Hub, so he's quite far behind on 7.5. I don't disagree with that either. I do think McKenna's the worst option on the shortlist. That's because Ipswich don't really offer much in attack or defence, and Spurs' attack is very strong. I know they've got quite a weak defence, but they have got defenders back in there, making it slightly stronger than what it was. After analysing the data in depth, I have changed some of my opinions and assumptions. So first of all, I would pick Arteta over McKenna. I don't think it's worth chasing the table bonus there. I'll be honest, I didn't think there'd be much between Van Nistelrooy and McKenna. Van Nistelrooy is clearly much better than McKenna, and I thought Glasner would be the standout pick, but that's not been very clear. There's barely anything between him and Van Nistelrooy. That's because Van Nistelrooy's got the home advantage. Glasner has to travel away from home. Van Nistelrooy gets to face Brentford, whilst Glasner has to face a more difficult opponent in Fulham. But that doesn't mean that Glasner's the more inferior option, because of course Palace have got a stronger defence, and Fulham have got the weakest attack out of all the attacks on the shortlist, which does increase their clean sheet odds, and if you get a clean sheet, not only do you double the points of a goal, but you're guaranteed at least a draw or a win. Something that's very important is Palace's ability to pick up points, and let's just say Leicester's ability to not pick up points. I have got more trust in Glasner this game week, so I think he's the best assistant manager. But Salah might not be the best captain this game week. Click the link in the top right corner to find out who is. Before you do that, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future videos like this.